Hello, I hope everyone is doing well today. So lately I've been on a little bit of a Barrows kick, and I'm realizing that 10 years ago, 2006, is when I first started doing Barrows, and I actually made a lot of my money on my original account doing Barrows, and so that's kind of got me back into it now. And it got me on the topic of welfare gear Barrows. Now that's doing Barrows with very limited gear, very cheap gear, maybe for a newer player or somebody who just is rebuilding and doesn't have a whole lot of money to spend. So here I'm going to be looking at two different methods for doing Barrows with the kind of welfare gear. One is going to be using Ancients and one is going to be using Slayer Dart. So for the first one here, as you can see, I had less than 100k of total gear. Now this is very minimal. You can obviously use better gear than this if you can afford it, but I'm just showing you in this video how little gear you really need to be effective at Barrows, especially with the new Barrows Teleport tabs. They cost about 5,000 coins, and using them enables you to do Barrows one chest per trip and not feel bad about wasting time or wasting resources and feeling like you have to be able to do a lot of chests in one trip to make it worth the time. Now obviously if you want to be able to do more than one chest per trip, lobsters are probably not the best food to take. I brought them for the purpose of this video because they're cheap and I had a lot of them in my bank. And in order to do one chest per trip, you don't need anything better than lobsters since you're able to Barrows tab down here and then use a Ring of Dueling to teleport to Clan Wars to recharge your health and prayer and get more food. Now when I do Barrows for real, I bring things like Brews and Super Restores and Toxic Blowpipe, but here I'm using Magic Shortbow with Rune Arrows because it's extremely cheap, and honestly Magic Shortbow is about the best bang for your buck you can get in this game because Rune Arrows are just over 100 GP each, and a Magic Shortbow itself, as good as this weapon is less than 1,000 coins, so that's an awesome choice for kind of the welfare gear here. I would strongly suggest Ancient Staff and then Ice Blitz or Ice Barrage, but for the purpose of this video I'm using a Water Staff and manually casting Ice Burst to show that it can be done with lower levels and lower spells. Now bear in mind that if you're going to be using the freeze method and running around the coffin, you're only going to get to cast 3 times, one for the freeze and then 2 more shots before you're going to have to run behind the coffin and wait for Varric to come after you again, or any of the melee brothers. I would say as long as you have 70 plus magic, 50 plus range, and 43 prayer, you should have no problem completing Barrows runs using this method. And if you're going to be freezing and running away like I have been, you will also be able to do a run of Barrows with 1 prayer potion or less, which can really help you save money if that's one of your goals. Darok and Carol are the ones you most have to be careful with. Carol you have to pray the whole time because the range is very fast and accurate, especially if you have low defense. And Darok has the ability to hit extremely high, which I will show you in just a minute what happens if you don't pray against him and you're not careful. But the other ones pretty much you should be able to freeze and not have to worry about taking a whole lot of damage if they get one hit here or there on you. And Erheim, honestly, he uses half non-damaging attacks anyway, so you don't have to really worry about that. So I didn't get a very good chest there, and I lost about 20k, but here is what happens if you don't pay attention with Darok. My second method of welfare Barrows does not require completion of Desert Treasure for Ancient Magics, and only requires 50 plus magic, but does need 55 Slayer if you want to use Slayer Dart. Now you could sub Slayer Dart out for any Bolt, Blast, or Wave spells, however I like Slayer Dart due to the low cost and it being pretty accurate of an attack. Now again I'm only using about 100k worth of gear as an input. Slayer Dart requires 4 Mind Runes and 1 Death Rune per cast, which is a much lower cost than the 2 Death Runes, 4 Chaos Runes, and 4 Water Runes of an Ice Burst. However, you will be using more prayer potions because instead of freezing and running away from your melee targets without prayer, you're going to have to just stand and face them and protect melee against all 4 of the melee brothers. Assuming you are praying against all 6 brothers, you are going to need somewhere around 6 doses of prayer potion to make it through 1 Barrows run, which when you factor in the cost of the runes for this versus the cost of the runes for Ice Burst or Blitz, This is the cheaper of the two methods, however it is a little bit slower. Slayer Dart doesn't hit quite as well as Ice Burst or Ice Blitz or whatever ancient spell you're going to be using, assuming you're not using Ice Rush, because the 5-second freeze is really not adequate to use the hiding method very well. So the best way to kill Carol is actually with a melee slashing weapon, but you can mage him as well. You won't be able to kill him as fast as the melee brothers, but magic does work. Alright, oh, Guthan's Helm. Oh, that's nice. That is actually the best drop I've had at Barrows. In over 20 chests, I've had no items in the last 20 plus chests. What is that worth? 3 mil. Awesome. Well, I guess the RuneScape gods are looking favorably upon Welfare Barrows. Alright, thank you for watching. Time to go do some Barrows. I'll see you next time. Bye.